Taking the ACT is a very important step in preparing for college. Now, we know some students may be nervous about taking the test, but here's the deal. It's all good if you are prepared. That's the purpose of this video. I know you'll find it helpful, and do well taking the test.
Hi, I'm Josie, and I'm excited to share this ACT prep video with you. Taking the ACT is a very important step in preparing for college. The ACT is a test required at most four-year colleges in the country. It's important to do well because on this test, the ACT measures how ready you are for college and affects financial aid, scholarships, and awards. This video will help you know what to expect and how to prepare for the ACT. The ACT tests your abilities in English, math, reading, and science on a scale from 1 to 36. Students in most Ohio and Kentucky high schools take the ACT during the second semester of their junior year. This is an ideal time to take the ACT because you'll have covered most of the test material in school, and this gives you a chance to take it again if necessary. In this video, Martha Geller will walk you through preparing for the math portion of the ACT. The ACT's math portion gives you 60 minutes to answer 60 questions. Ms. Geller will show you the best strategies for using that time. You'll refresh your knowledge of basic math concepts and practice skills to help you narrow down the material you should know and increase how quickly you work through the test. This ACT math review video is broken down into 4 smaller segments. We recommend working through one segment at a time and pausing to use worksheets when prompted. It's okay to rewatch if necessary. Move to the next section once you feel comfortable with the material. It's also okay to move ahead if you're answering the example problems easily. You may find it helpful to use this video with a study partner or group. This video is made available through the generous donation of time and talent by Martha Geller, renowned for her expertise, passion, and success in helping students improve their ACT scores. Our sincere thanks to Ms. Geller, as well as to the Greater Cincinnati STEM Collaborative, the University of Cincinnati, Strive Partnership, and the Covington School Board of Education, who helped make this video possible.
If you'll pick up your pencils, and I want you to make some notes, and if we have time, and I think I have them on some of my flash drives, I can show you some problems that go with this. First of all, because I've taken all these tests, there are just some things that I've seen over and over and over again on the ACT. And starting with circles, circumference and area, you've got to know those. Now, you've had some of those formulas since probably 5th grade, 6th grade, and if they have any confusion for you, what letter comes after C in the alphabet? D. So C for circumference equals pi d. It's the easiest way in the world to memorize it, just C equals pi d. Forget about the 2 pi r for circumference. Just do C equals pi d. And then area, of course, is pi r squared. So those two you will see on every single ACT that you take. And hardly ever do they ask you to convert pi to 3.14 as I give you there. Now, these equivalent ratios. Really, really important. How many degrees around a point? 360. Right. So look at the first picture here. How many degrees is that angle? 90. 90 out of 360. Come on. What fraction does that reduce down to? 90 over 360. Write that fraction. gorgeous, 1/4. I deal with fractions. When I was a student at Walnut, there weren't calculators. And I do everything with fractions, almost everything with, and it's the secret. So if you remember how to multiply your fractions and divide your fractions and all those things, it's really important. So that angle is 1/4 of all the degrees around the point. So therefore that length, and that length is a piece of the what? Says it, the circumference. So how much of the circumference is it? 1/4. And then the area of that sector is what? 1/4. Absolutely, positively. Obviously, the more you know, the better you will do. The more you know about the ACT, certainly the better you will do. Okay, this is the new, these just came to Walnut a couple weeks ago. These are the new score reports, and definitely, as you can see, the high school gets this kind of report. I'm hopeful that when you go online, you get the same kind of report. And this is what it looks like. The composite comes first. Now, if you ever have taken the test in the past, they've reversed everything, because it used to be that the way the scores would be reported would be the composite would be at the end, and they would report the scores as they are given. The English test comes first, and then what's next? The math, and then the reading and the science. Well, they've reversed everything. Now, because we're going to work a lot on math, please notice that this student's math score was a 23. And down here on your report, it will tell you what the 23 consisted of. Preparing for higher math, you needed to know about numbers and quantity, algebra, functions, geometry, and statistics. And then how integrate, what's it mean to integrate? Integrate? Come together, right. And so how you integrate these essential skills, into solving problems. And it's difficult to read, but there are 35 problems here, 25 here for your 60 problems that are on the ACT. And so this is all brand new. This is what the ACT score report looks like, at least the one that the schools get. And this is important for teachers because they can take a look at a student's score and see which of those areas the student might need a little bit of more practice. Now, these are what you need to know for each of those scores. This is put out by ACT. And so if you notice, okay, if your score range is a 13 to a 15 on the math, it means just computing with whole numbers. Well, I bet you all can do that. If you want a 16 to a 19 score, place value. We all have done that since 3rd grade, 4th grade. Finding rational numbers. What's a rational number? Right, a number that can be expressed as a fraction if you want. Right, something you can put a 1 under it. 25, is that a rational number? Yeah, because you can write it as 25 over. Perfect, lovely. Okay, now again, for graduation in the state of Ohio now, they are saying that in math, students have to get a 22 in the math. And so if you look in number and quantity, remember that was the first category, right up here, number and quantity. So that was the first. So what we're going to work on tonight and what you're going to be doing are some problems that I've taken from one ACT, and here's a copy of that ACT, and you can use those booklets and write right on those booklets. So to graduate from, there's the 20 to the 23. And why don't you, can you read them for us, the 20 to 23? You've got them in, okay.
Exhibiting knowledge of elementary number concepts such as rounding.
Can you all round numbers? Remember? Okay, what else? Sorry.
The order of decimals, pattern identification, primes, and greatest common factor.
Okay, what are primes? Definition of prime numbers? Is 5 a prime? Why?
It can only be divisible by itself and 1.
It has what?
Speak up, Caitlin. I said it can only be divisible by itself and 1.
Gorgeous. Yes. And make a note, pick up your papers, and you can just write it any place. There's only 3 things that they test you on primes. 3 things, so just write it down. Definition, so you got that one down pat already. And that 1 is not a prime. Be careful. Why is 1 not a prime? Because it only has, gorgeous, 1 factor. And 2 is a prime. Those are the only 3 things you need to know about prime numbers. 1 is not a prime, 2 is a prime, and you might be apt to forget 2 because it's the only even one. Yeah. And then the definition. Those are the things that you need to know about primes. What else does it say? Do you see, when you see this spelled out, and you really can see, well, what I need to know, you can do those things ahead of time, and then when you walk in and take the test, you know that you're going to be in that range or even higher. What else does it say you have to?
Write positive powers of 10 by using exponents.
All know how to do that? 10 to the first is what? 10 to the second. 10 to the second. 10 times 10 is what? 100. How about 10 to the 0? No, 10 to any number to the, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Right. 10 to the 0, any number to the 0 power is 1. Whenever I see an exponent, all it means is write me that number of times. That's what an exponent is. So I'm going to write it 3 times and then multiply. So 10 times 10 times 10 again? 1,000. Beautiful. Good. So that one, probably no problem. Absolute value? What is absolute value? Say the absolute value of -3. Why? Because yeah, it's just absolute value just means the distance that number is from 0. How many steps is -3 from 0? 3. Sure. So that one shouldn't be any problem. And then adding to matrices that have whole number entries. Have you done matrices? Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. You're going to be a star. Okay. So I want everybody to try that one, because that's on the list that you need to be able to do to get in the range of a 20 to a 23. 50% of all mistakes are careless mistakes. Careless. You might find greatest to least or something like that. Please underline. And the other reason to underline, it starts here at your hand, which is physical, and it goes up to your brain. So the more that you can be physical with your test, the more you can be mental with your test. And this is problem 21 in your books. Anybody got some suggestions? They want the least to greatest. Any that we can rule out right now? In A, B, C, and D, what's the first? The first decimal is? 2800ths, right? How about E? What's the first? 1/3 is what decimal? 0.33. So you can right away rule out E. So cross out E. Be physical, because it means that you're concentrating, you're focusing. So we can rule out that one. Any others? You learned something back in elementary school. If you have two fractions, anybody remember how you can test which one is the bigger? Come here. Do you remember? Take this numerator and that denominator and multiply. And what do you get? 6. And do this one, and what do you get? Which is bigger? 6 is bigger than 5. So we can get rid of this one. You don't need to spend the time plugging it in your calculators. If you see two fractions, you can in other words, when I look at it, okay, I get 24 and I get 30, that's fine. And I get 15 and 16, that one's fine. 2 times 3, we just said was 6. 1 times 5, so that rules out D. Any others? 3/10, come on. What decimal is that? 0.30 or 0.3. Smaller or bigger than 0.37? Smaller. So, and remember we underline least to greatest, so get rid of that one. All right, you're down to these two. They both start with 2800ths. 2/5, what decimal is that? Come on, 2/5. 2, right, 0.4, I heard it. 2/5, you've got to remember your decimals, you just have to. How do you go from 5 to 10? What have you done? Multiplied by 2. Whatever you do down below, you've got to do up top. And so 4/10, which, this is just another way of writing it. Right. So they both end with 0.4. Anybody got suggestions? If you, on your paper, you've got 0.28, then what do you have for this one? Come on, everybody. 0.3, and then 0.33. Now, 3/8. Okay. 4/8. What's it reduced down to? A half, which would be 0.5. 6/8 reduces down to what? Come on, 6/8. 2 into 6. Take your time. Take your time. It reduces down to, right, 3/4, which is what decimal? 0.75. Yeah, and so what's halfway between 0.25 and 0.50? Think of 50 cents and think of 25 cents. What's halfway? About? 37, very nice. 37, it's actually 0.375. Think always money. It's the easiest way to do problems. Just think money. See, the point is, the first 20 problems on the ACT, you must do as quickly as possible, and almost all of them without a calculator. You need to have time to work on the last 20. So the first 20, you have to practice and practice and practice so that you can do them as quickly as possible. And that's why, well, that was 21 instead of 20, problem 21. But you should be able to do that problem without even plugging them in your calculator. There's an assistant director of the College Center at Walnut, and she has gotten down on paper a lot of the things I've been saying for years about how to speed up your work on the math section of the ACT. But yeah, remember that cross for fractions, please. You don't have to plug 2/5 and 3/8 in. 2 times 8 is how much? 2 times 8. And 3 times 5? 15. So you know in looking at those which is the greater fraction. But you should really be able to do those. So that's one thing that it says to get a score. And you all have got to say, okay, I want a 23 to get in a certain program. I want a 26 in math to get in a certain program. Whatever it is, this is ACT's list of what you need to know for each of these score sections, I guess, if you want to call them that. So any question on that one? Well, it also said, find distance. It's problem number 34. So you're halfway through the ACT, but I can tell you everybody here can do the problem. They don't give you a picture. Points P, Q, R, and S lie on a line in the order given, and that's important. Point R is the midpoint of QS. So I'm drawing my line. I've got P, I've got Q, and so it was important that it said in that order. And remember what they were testing, all they were saying was go back again, finding the distance between 2 points, and that's really what this problem is asking you for. Okay, so now it said R is the midpoint of QS, right here. R is the midpoint of QS, which means what? If R is the midpoint of QS, then QR is the same length as RS, right. Okay, and how much do they tell you PR is? 5. And PS is how much? 7. Okay, and now what can we reason? How much is PR was? How much? 5. And PS is 7. Therefore, how much have we got?
Should be equal to PR, so it should be 5 centimeters.
Right, come on. Can you draw it on your paper? Maybe if I show you. Do you want to see my solution up there? Take a couple minutes and try it on your own. Here, I am not, and maybe you know this by now, I am not a mathematician. I treat math as a language. And you've got 3 languages you're dealing with: English language, math language, and diagrammatic language. And that's the key. Notice that, and again, please notice that I underline. And so these were the things that were important. And I always underline what is being asked for, always. Okay, and so then I wrote down algebraically. Now, notice something else. When I was in probably middle school, I had teachers that insisted that we line up our equal signs. Algebra 1 is probably 95% work habits. And that's really what you've got here. You've got R divides QS into two parts, so the minute you got that to be 2, then you knew that was 2, and so therefore. Yeah, so the problem was presented in English. You drew a diagram, that's diagrammatic language, let it talk to you, and then you turned it into math language. You added 2 plus 2. Order fractions. Well, to order fractions, what would be one way that you would order the fractions? If I gave you, I don't know, give us 4 fractions.
2/3.
All right, write these down, any place. 2/3. What else?
1/6.
2/3. Oof. So I've got 2/3, 1/5. What else? Give me another fraction. 2/8. One more. 3/4. Okay. Do you want to do least to greatest or greatest to least? Least to greatest. Okay. What do you now? A lot of things. What's one way you could order the fractions? Right. Exactly. You could do what I bet you learned when you were doing equivalent fractions back in 4th grade. 2 times 5 is? So you put him under the numerator you use. 1 times 3? So 1/5 has to be in front. Can you tell what I got in art? Okay, so we know 1/5 is smaller than 2/3. How about this guy? What can you do? 2/8 is 1/4. So, do you want 1/4 of a pie or 1/5 of a pie? 1/4. Absolutely. So we've got the 1/4. We've got the and what are you going to do with the 3/4? Is 3/4 bigger than 2/3? Or is 2/3 bigger than 3/4? Well, you can always test it. 2 times 4 is? Yeah. So there's you all can do that, and that's what you need to do for a 27 on the ACT Math. Least common multiple, what's that mean? All right, least common multiple. Give me, and they do this on the ACT all the time, trust me. Give me a 2-digit number. 27. Give me another 2-digit number.
30.
Okay. Least, okay, let's define those words. Least means what? Synonym for least is? Smallest. Common means? Similar, they both have it. And multiple is? What they both are factors of. Write that down. Least common multiple has a lot of factors. So it's saying that if you divide these numbers into that multiple, what will your remainder be? If something is a factor of another number? If 2 is a factor of 4, what's your remainder?
There is a 2 factor for 2.
If 2 is a factor of 4, what's your remainder?
2.
What's your remainder? Perfect. And what's the math word for nothing? 0. Yeah. If something is a factor of another number, you have nothing left over. It divides into it. Right. Okay. So we want to know what 27 goes into and also 30 goes into. They are both, in other words, they're down here. And by the way, real important, you have 3 symbols for division. You've got that one, you've got that one, and you've got that one. you will use this one the most, the division bar. And please, fractions have tops and bottoms, numerators and denominators. I want to see straight across, not slanted that you see in your math book, straight across fraction bars. So that's it. You're trying to find the number that this will divide into it, and the same number that this will divide into it, and that you'll have nothing left over, that the remainder will be 0. Anybody remember from your youth what you do? 27 breaks down as? And keep going. Gorgeous. 3, 3, 3, right? Yeah, remember factor trees? Oh, yes. They're on the ACT. Again, that's one of the concepts. So, right, this is really 3 times 3 times 3. And how do we write that using exponents? Right, 3 to the 3rd. Right, okay. So we know that he will be happy canceling into at least a 3 times 3 times 3. And it'll be obviously 1. He'll go in there 1 times with 0 remainder, right? Okay, how's this break down? You did these a long time ago in your youth. 2 times 5 times 3. So it needs at least a 2 up here that it can cancel into, a 5 up here that it can cancel into, and it can use that 3, his 3, right? Okay, so we have to introduce all of these to keep both of them happy. And now, somebody tell me, 3 times 3 times 3 is 27 times, and 2 times 5 is? And 10 times 27, come on everybody, 10 times 27 is? 270. And that's the least common multiple. You can see he'll go in, you can see he'll go in. It's what number they both will divide into, that they are both factors of 270. Know the vocab. These guys are factors. They will divide into your least common multiple and have a remainder of 0. Right. 27 goes into 270 how many times? 10. Absolutely. 30 goes into 270 how many times? 9. Right. Yeah. So you all can do that, and that means you can get a 24 to a 27, least common multiples, factors. Well, we just did that. Complex numbers, yeah, numbers that have what in them? They have like an I, right, -1, right, the square root. Okay, how about that? Have any of you worked with? And what do? They want, notice, oh, and I forgot to underline what they wanted. They want A plus B. Come on, what do?
So basically you just add.
Right, and that's all they want you, okay, and what are you adding? Come on, join us. Come on.
Each section row
And,
is kind of
right, okay. So basically, what are you going to do?
49 plus negative.
Gorgeous. So everybody write that one down. 49 plus -3 is? Come on. 46. I'm doing this guy times that guy. I mean, adding 49 plus -3. And just write that down. And then, 49 minus 3 is? 46. Okay, then?
23 plus
Minus 12, good, I heard that from the audience. And that would be 11. And then 9 and 29? Perfect. You see, you don't need to pull out those calculators. Right. So you've written those down because this was A and that was B. Okay, second row.
11.
Negative 11 plus 33 is? What kind? Positive 22, right. And then negative 15 plus negative 2? Negative 17. Beautiful. And then 11 plus negative 11? 0. Very nice. And our last row? 8 and 2? And then negative 3 and 18 is? And then 22 and 17 is 39. And I